Writing. What will this mean for our students in 5 years or 25 years? It's a fascinating time for literacy right now, but I'd like to explore how the future might not be as futuristic as you'd expect. You see, advocates of digital writing, like myself, have been making a big mistake. It has to do with the words we use and the stories we tell. You know that blank look on your colleague's face when you use the B word? Sure, blogging has its benefits, but I think we're going about it all wrong. It's our fault that the majority of students have yet to experience purposeful digital publishing. It's our fault that the excitement lies more in the medium and less on the craft. Just look at how new tools are often introduced. A tech-savvy teacher might gush to her colleagues about how her class is loving their blogs and how easily they could set up their own too. But what is the definition of what is even being discussed? Well, the term blogging doesn't even appear in our language until 1998. So instead of focusing on a skill that resides at the root of human communication, we elicit excuses. I don't have enough computers. We do the workshop model. I don't have permission to do that. They don't know how to type. And we unintentionally play to our colleagues' fears. I'm not that techie. What if the world sees how bad my students' writing is? I don't know if I can trust my kids to be appropriate online. So, by now we've already lost sight of our goal and our purpose. The goal should be to break down the silos of ed tech and literacy. We can't let conversations about blogging happen over here and conversations about writing happen over there. I believe that the containers have hijacked the process and the content. Instead of a kid saying, "You should read my blog," we should celebrate when they say, "You should read my story, my poem, or my song." So much of the discussion right now is irrelevant to the existing structures of writing pedagogy that we've created a gap between the few classes who get to publish meaningfully for a chosen audience and the rest of them who are reduced to word processing. Justifying a new tool should sound more like a curriculum discussion than a technology one. We need to evolve our language about writing to acknowledge that possibilities have expanded. But next time a teacher worries about keyboarding skills that will prep students for an online test, let's shift the story of digital writing back to the motivation and the inspiration to write. Back to figuring out how kids learn to view themselves as authors. Refocus the love of writing that clearly guided our practice before screens were introduced. I mean, do you really need your students to become lifelong bloggers? Or instead, should they be effective communicators and storytellers and wordsmiths? Meaningful framing goes beyond just wrapping an old package with a shiny new bow. Writing doesn't need to be disguised to be fun, but it does need choice and audience and purpose. Sure, novelty can be a hook for some kids, but the true power of technology is actually how it connects us more deeply to the basics. Words and pictures and voice remain as our containers evolve and change. See, our optimism around blogging is already outdated, even as the practice begins to become more accepted. But we wouldn't teach filmmaking through the lens of the VCR, or we wouldn't let our music instruction be centered on learning the basics of the CD. The puzzle we are trying to solve is to help students become lifelong writers. Since they all can publish at any time to anyone, let's talk about tweets as writing, emails as writing, posts as writing. Our colleagues who have quietly ignored our cheerleading around blogging and those who have gotten swept up in the hoopla can both teach us a lot about how to support this change. Sometimes an evolution leads you back to your roots. The way that text is transcribed is inconsequential, but the craft of composing it remains an art form and a necessity. Reaching an audience has always driven us to write, but only now have the opportunities to be read caught up with that desire. Screens are replacing paper, but whether you use a traditional map or Google Maps, you are still just finding directions. And you would never say that your students are kindling when they downloaded their favorite book to consume. Teachers who make digital writing relevant without losing the timeless components that drive the process do not call their students bloggers. The emotion and story and meaning of words will endure, but we need a common understanding that our students must become lifelong writers no matter the device or the platform or the style. That's something that all teachers can understand. So as technology becomes more prevalent but less visible, let's evolve the narrative to avoid the blank looks. Because first graders and fifth graders and 10th graders should all be able to grow their craft in these new spaces. And to get there, we must start and we must end with the word writing. No matter how digital or how social or how mobile, so that we can include in the conversation all our colleagues and impact all our students. The future of writing is going to be fun and amazing, but it's still going to be writing.